Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Minecraft world. Today we're going to be doing some work over by the kelp farm once again. Now if you haven't seen this, you obviously haven't seen the previous episode because we spent the whole episode building this thing, which has worked really well. I mean, if we just come down here, I have gone ahead and planted all of this up off camera, but if we look in the chest, yeah, that's a lot of kelp. And I actually just had to re-record this clip, unfortunately, because my microphone was at a really bizarre volume, but this only had 2 stacks in it. If we look in these chests, we have so much kelp. Wow, we filled up a whole double chest. And that recording was maybe 5 minutes long. So in 5 minutes, we've gained this much, which is incredible. So yeah, I think it's needless to say that this farm works really well. So yeah, that's awesome. So I think in today's episode, I want to go ahead and finish off this little area, this little project area here, because, well, we made this to get fuel, and obviously to get fuel, we need to smelt the kelp into dried kelp and then craft it into dried kelp blocks, which is what these little sections are open for. So we're going to be putting a super smelter here and a bit of an auto crafting system over here. Now, unfortunately, auto crafting isn't really in the game and I don't have that mod. So the way it's going to work is it's going to drop the items on us and we're going to use the crafting grid to actually just craft it up. So yeah, now I guess I'm going to hop into my testing world and show you the designs for those. Now I did show this in the previous episode, so I'm not going to go too in depth with them. If you want me to go more in depth, you can, I guess, look at this previous episode. But if we look at this, you can see this is a super smelter, basically evenly distributes the items and auto refuels the system as well, which is really cool. And then it just takes them out through these bottom hoppers here. And then over here, of course, we have the autocrafter. And this basically stores them in minecart chests, which then get destroyed, dropping all of the items onto you at once, so you can really easily craft them up. It's a really cool little system. I love designing stuff like this. It's absolutely awesome. And let me know if you want like a tutorial on this, because I definitely would be up to do that. Anyway, this should fit in the area prescribed on the world, and this is just an 8x8x8 area. So this should fit in the prescribed area in the actual survival world, and this is an 8x8 area, and mostly will be overhead. Anyway, I don't think it'll be really interesting watching me just rebuild some redstone contraptions I've already designed, so I'm going to get the third-person time-lapse going, and let's do that one. Alright, so there we are. There is all of the redstone out of the way. Awesome. Yeah, that was pretty good. Now, I think the next thing that we need to do is we need to go ahead and connect all of the items from the kelp farm over there into the input for here. But I think first, before we do that, it's probably a good idea to fill that up with minecart chests there. Alright, and there we go. So now that's all the minecart chests in place. So now I have been putting it off, I'm going to admit, but now I think it's about time we go ahead and start making some of the items go to where they're supposed to go. So piping them over, getting them going where they need to be going. And I'm not sure whether I want to go with overground pipes or underground pipes. I'm not entirely sure. What we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to make the items go underground, and then they're going to run under the ground along here, probably up the back here, and then into the input up here, because it is quite a long way for it to go. And oh, that might cross over. Yeah, I don't know whether you remember from the previous episode, but we have this. This is the line that connects the starter base up with the sorting system. There's like a couple barrels at the starter base. That's alright, I feel like that's doable, because if we just run this like 2 blocks under the surface, yes, we actually will not run into that, which is perfect. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, start digging out a bit of a trench, and start running these items under here. Alright, so I've gone ahead and finished all of the pathways under here, and just realized that I didn't actually place this chest minecart, but I went ahead and activated the farm here, so you should see that all the items, yep, they're getting dispensed down this little hole here, and they should be going underground all the way over, so we should see, yep, a few bits of kelp are flying past. There we go. So now, yep, the chest minecart has been stopped. So now it's being filled up with kelp, and eventually it should go across and evenly distribute the kelp. Awesome. So now we need to fill this with some initial fuel, and then we can hook this up to the auto smelter as well, which shouldn't be too hard. We just need to go ahead and build maybe like a bubble elevator that takes the items up and over into that hopper up there. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and do that. Luckily we have tons of spare glass from all the glass we smelted up for this. Anyway, I think we want to make the bubble elevator somewhere around here, so it lines up with that there, and it just goes right up, and it should, yep, come pretty close to this as well. Awesome. Alright, and that is the bubble column up there, and now we just need to connect this up with hoppers, which shouldn't be too difficult. There, just like that. So now we have a bunch of a bunch of kelp in these smokers here, and we need to go ahead and get some initial fuel in there because, well, we don't have any kelp yet. So I think I'm going to go ahead and maybe put 3 coal in each one, and then hopefully we can go from there and start making some kelp blocks. There we go. So now all the kelp should be cooking up here, and it's doing it extra fast because they're in smokers. So now, yeah, you can see we're getting tons and tons of dried kelp from this. Oh, that is awesome. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, I did decide to divert this into a chest here because, well, I didn't want it to go all the way up into the storage just for me to have to take it out. So I guess while we're waiting for that to smelt, we can come over here and grab some arrows because, well, if you forget, we need arrows for this design to work, and I think we've got enough of those. Alright, all the smokers are starting to turn off now, so we almost have all of the dried kelp, which is, yeah, probably around about 5 stacks. That seems about right. So let's wait for the rest to drain out here. Okay, 5 stacks and 16. Let's see how many blocks that makes us. 37. Alright, so this distribution system, the way it works is it's not going to evenly distribute it. It's going to distribute it to make sure that there's a certain number in each furnace. So unfortunately, that means we're going to have to manually do it until we have enough where it can, you know, be evenly distributed well. But I think I'm going to go ahead and have to do that for a little while. Just fill these up with kelp and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Alright, so now that this place is basically fully functional, all the function is essentially somewhat done. We just need to, you know, grind out some more dried kelp blocks and whatnot, and maybe reconnect this at some point as well. But I think it's about time we go ahead and do a little bit of, well, a little bit of aesthetic work is what I was trying to say, yeah. I think it's about time we do a little bit of aesthetic work. So I want to start building something around this super smelter here, which hopefully shouldn't be too hard. Alright, so what I'm thinking is something along the lines of this. I do this with super smelters all the time, but I'm going to go ahead and add these in the sides here. It's just a really nice design. You can see the furnaces there, you've got these along here, and you can have those there. Jeez, these pistons are loud. That's basically my idea here. So now I need to expand on this a little bit. Alright, so I've added some more furnaces in here, and I think the general shape I'm going to go with over here is something along the lines of this. So it's going to go around, it's going to have a stripped pillar just going up like so, and then I think I'm going to have a flat wall here with some leaves in front because, well, in my experience, that works really, really well. And of course, we're not just going to have stone here, it's going to be in the pattern of that with the stone brick, the andesite, and the circle stone there. This was a bit of a weird experiment, but I kind of like this because you can still see the minecart chest going out the back there, and I really actually kind of like that, yeah. I kind of anticipated not liking it, but I really think it adds some of this color back in there, and I think, yeah, that looks really good, so I'm going to continue that. Alright, so I really didn't want to just mirror this above these trapdoors, so I went ahead and added this. So this is a little thing that goes across the top here, and I believe actually I accidentally got a furnace into one of these hoppers. Oh, that's going to be a pain to find. Alright, so I'm in a little bit of a predicament here. I don't know how I'm going to round off this top bit here, because I've built this up, and that's all well and good, and I've got this furnace array here, and I'm probably going to have to build something up kind of similar on the other side, just to make it look better, but I don't know how I'm going to do the roof to this thing. I tried doing trapdoors on the top, like similar to what I did here. That didn't look very good, and I don't know what I'm going to do here. No, it needs a contrast. I think I've got an idea. Yeah, that looks a lot nicer. That looks a lot more rounded off and a lot better. And kind of helps with this as well, because this kind of acts as a little beam that goes across. Those are kind of beams that go across the top. And it's nice and rounded off, and I really do like that. I don't know how to explain this properly, but they're very solid blocks. You can see there's a very harsh outline there, and they're very contrasty. And these are kind of less contrasty, so this almost feels like it extends or protrudes out from the wall rather than being totally flat. I mean, realistically, it is totally flat, but it just looks with the texture that it's not totally flat. So yeah, I think that's a good thing. And it's part of the reason why I like stripped logs a lot as well. Like, it feels like these stripped logs are protruding out a little bit, even though they're actually not. And I feel like that helps the build a lot. And yeah, same goes for over here. Alright, so I've built a little bit more of this around the other side as well, and as you can see, it's really starting to help this little terraforming failure here. It is really starting to help it. So I can bring this land across a little bit more like that, and you wouldn't even know that it's just a flat wall there, because you can see this around here. And you can even see the bubble column here, so I might go ahead and replace that grass in there with just some normal blocks, and that means you can get a nice insight into the redstone, and I think that's quite cool. And in terms of the roof, I've just gone with a bit of a flat design with these. I think it does the job and it looks pretty good. And we have the glass protruding out here. Not a huge amount I could do about that. I mean, no, actually, I can just get rid of this, can't I? Oh yeah, that makes it look way better and so much more complete, I reckon. Yeah, okay, so I guess we're getting rid of that glass then. But yeah, as you can see, this looks totally natural coming around here. But once we get to here, we can totally see that the facade falls apart. And yeah, you can see all of this in here. That's fine, because it's all about what it looks like on the outside, I guess, right? Now this is just going to be an experiment, nothing concrete. I just want to give it a go. Oh, no, let's get rid of that. I'm starting to regret building all of the redstone stuff before doing the aesthetic work, because now I'm trying to mirror what I have on this side over on this side, and the redstone over here is getting in the way. Debating with myself whether I want to take this whole thing down, rebuild it a few blocks over, and then make room for this. I mean, it's very close to fitting, but I would like to have these as separate buildings, which is just quite simply not going to happen with this here. So I guess I should probably go ahead and tear all this down and move it over. Let's get the teardown music going. And there we go, it's all gone. Yep, all of the redstone totally gone. So now we can go ahead and add this in without having too many issues. Now unfortunately, it will be a bit of a tight fit to get through here, but no more than it's a tight fit to get through here. Unfortunately, this doesn't line up quite as well, I don't think. No, it doesn't, it's actually a couple blocks off. That's a little bit annoying if I'm being honest. But it kind of shows the separation between them. They're not one and the same, they're two different buildings, and we're going to have a third different building for the auto crafting. So I think I'm going to build up these walls around here real quick. And there we go. So now that is the whole build kind of complete for this, you know, super smelter building here. For the most part. Now I think I want to go ahead and start making this area look a little bit better, because it's a little bit worse for wear. We've got, you know, a bunch of stone in the floor, just a flat wall here, and, you know, this rough transition here. So I think I might want to try and make this a little bit nicer, especially around the front here as well. Might just add some leaves in there, that could be cool, and just a little transition path into this section. And over here, I'm thinking of doing maybe even a retaining wall over here, because they can look really, really cool, and having that stripped log there will kind of help that process along of creating a retaining wall, because I feel like that would be a lot easier than trying to properly terraform this. And we can even add a couple more trees up here if we need, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that'll look really, really good. So I'm going to tidy up this area just a little bit. And just like that, the area has been transformed. Look at that. Yeah, that's right. I went ahead and replaced all this ground with grass, and then I built a little retaining wall across here, added some leaves on the side as well, and, you know, brought this little side bit down, terraformed it down a little bit, just so I didn't have to build more retaining walls. And then up around here, I added a few more leaves around the back here, and a few leaves on the side, and wow. The leaves honestly add so much to the build. I don't know what it is. They just make the build look so much better. Any build, if you want to make it look better, add leaves, honestly. Yeah, I also did a couple other things, like I replaced the floor in here, so when you look in, it looks very industrial, other than that present chest there, but you know. And I also went ahead and moved the lever and button from here over to the side here, which basically, this button manually sends off the flying machine, and this lever enables and disables the automatic sending of it. You gotta be careful when disabling the automatic one though, because the kelp could grow too high and mess up the water streams, which in my experience is a massive pain. Now there is still a little bit of work to be done in this area. Obviously I have to actually build the auto crafter, but I think I'm going to go ahead and plan out where that's going to go first, because I know that it's an 8x8 area and I don't want it to go off into the river here, so it might end up being there, and then it'll be 8 blocks on the inside, and yeah, let's just see how that turns out. Remember when I said I didn't want this to go into the river? Yeah, it's going to go into the river slightly. This is just so that we have a little bit more room around here. I might have to get rid of these leaves to maybe create a pathway that goes around the back here. And I want to maybe even add some custom trees behind here. I reckon that could add a lot to it. Because as soon as I saw this retaining wall, I'm like, man, custom trees need to go in front of it. It'll add a bit more green to it, and I think it would be really, really nice. So I think I'm going to go ahead and probably build it around here. These are most likely just going to be pillars that go up. The redstone is going to be up there with the actual building, which is going to be up the top there, and then down here will be mostly open, maybe with a couple support beams going up diagonally. I'm not sure, but anyway, I'm going to grab some of these crimson logs here again, and I'm going to try and make a little bit of a framework for this thing. Alright, and there we go. So I have made a little bit of a frame here for the redstone, and if I just... Oh, there we go. There we go. So there is where all the redstone is going to go. Now, I think what I want to do for this bottom floor is I want to fill it in with glass, except for that one block where the items actually come down, which is going to be here. So I'm going to fill all of this in with glass, because I feel like it could look quite cool. We can see all the redstone above us, and we can also probably block up most of these walls as well. I actually went ahead, and if we come over here, I kept all of the resources from clearing out that redstone contraption in this chest. So we should have the perfect amount of materials in this chest, which will be really nice. And yeah, I guess I'm going to go ahead and rebuild the redstone once again. Yep, gonna rebuild it, and yeah, I'll see you when I've done that, I guess. Alright, and there we go. So that is all of the redstone in place there, and as I thought it would, it fits perfectly. Alright, so I've done a couple things between cuts. You may notice that you are constantly hearing a piston firing and unfiring, which is kind of annoying. That is because I've implemented a little bit of a new clock system down here. So this maxed out etho hopper clock was just going a little bit too fast. So the way it's going now is a lot slower, or at least it should be. And there we go, now we don't have that annoying piston going off all the time. And the reason I did this is because, well, dried kelp blocks can smelt 20 items, which is a decent amount of items. And so I figured that if it was just sending one kelp into the smoker all the time, it was not going to be very efficient. So if we clump them together more by, you know, harvesting after they've grown a decent amount, then that will help to distribute it more evenly, and, you know, more in bulk, and yeah, that should hopefully work a little bit better. So I don't know how long this will take exactly. I do have to be careful, because if it reaches these top things, I think I said this before, but if it reaches the top bit here, then it will actually mess up these water streams up the top, and it's a bit of a pain to fix. So I don't really want it to do that. I could technically put signs underneath, but I feel like that would kind of ruin the look that I'm going for with this thing, so I don't really want to do that, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so I think it's about time we go ahead and start decorating this place, because, well, we're going to need to do that a little bit. Now, what I'm thinking is maybe having some stone on the edges, like so, that goes up like that, and then maybe a window down the middle or something. I'm not 100% sure. I'll try and come up with a design, and yeah, let's see how far we get with that design. And voila, there it is. So we've gone ahead and built this little casing around the redstone, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. You know, it fits with the theme of the rest of the place. You can see we've got the regular stone roof, except for this doesn't have a stone roof, but this has a flat stone roof, this has a flat stone roof, so they both fit in well together, and it just kind of works well with the rest of the design. We've got some glass windows so we can see the redstone, because I thought the redstone in this thing looked kind of cool, and we can even look up here and you can see there's the hole, and then we've got a whole bottom glass here. And looks like the kelp farm's actually harvesting right now, which is pretty cool. Now, I have done a couple other things, if you've noticed. Well, first of all, we have this redstone lamp, which I'll get into in a second. But I went ahead and added a little entrance in here, because I found myself constantly digging holes in the walls to get into the redstone behind this. So I thought I would just add a door here, so you can actually just get into the redstone behind. I also added this little trapdoor and stair combo here, so you can just kind of walk around. And now there's a couple bits going on here. So first of all, you just saw these torches flash here. This is for the redstone lamp, and basically that redstone lamp indicates whether you need to put any more fuel into the super smelter, I guess. So when the lamp is on, the smelter is completely filled with fuel, which is another thing. I've completely filled it with fuel. So you can see there's a bunch of dried kelp blocks going around here, and that is because, well, it's completely full, and these will cycle around filling in any spots that are required. And yeah, as you can see, these torches are all off, meaning that this is just basically a giant AND gate. And so that lamp is on then. And I was just looking at the redstone here before, it really kind of spirals down and down. We've got the top layer here, then we've got this layer down here, and then it goes down a little bit further and all the way down to here. Like, that is a long way for the redstone to go down. You can see that this thing is filling up once again, and each time that the super smelter, or each time the kelp farm harvests, it's around about, it goes up to about here, so that's about, it's like 11 or 12 stacks, something like that. So it's definitely a decent amount every time it does it, which is kind of what I wanted to do. But it still isn't dangerous because it doesn't grow that high, it only gets to about here at the maximum, which is perfectly fine. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. But yeah, now I think the thing that we need to do now is just basically connect all the dried kelp that goes from there into this area up here, and we're basically done. Although we should probably also go ahead and add a little button there. So I think you can make buttons out of these. Yeah, you can. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and do some piping. There's quite a few pipes going under here, I think. You know what, let's hop into spectator mode. Now the reason why I'm alright with going into spectator mode is because, well, alternatively, I could get the second account on here and do the exact same thing, even if we were on a server. So it's literally the same thing, it just saves me a bunch of time making this episode. Anyway, if we come down here, you can see this is the pipe going across for the kelp. And as you can see, that goes across, and right under it is the pipe from the starter base all the way to the sorting system. And you can see how that goes all the way across here. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on underground in this area. Okay, speaking of wasting time, I've spent so long in spectator mode just exploring the underground of my world that it's actually nighttime now, so time to connect the dried kelp up into there. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, so now I've gone ahead and dug a little bit of a trench here, made a little bit of a water thing to make it go up and around into there. Now, I could have very easily put the bubble elevator on this side because it's actually closer towards the center. Yeah, as you can see, it's close to the center, so it would have probably been a little bit easier if I went ahead and built it on this side. But what I want to do over here is I want to build some custom trees, and I thought that it would kind of obstruct doing that, I reckon. So if I put this on that side, it would kind of obstruct the custom trees I want to do over here, and it wouldn't be as nice. Whereas over here would just kind of fit a little bit better, I thought. So yeah, that's kind of the idea behind that. I also want to put a crafting table like right here, because I feel like that would, you know, help the auto crafting thing a little bit. And there we go. So now, yeah, that's basically everything, I think. I did have to unfortunately add an ugly hopper line that goes across here into this dropper, which I should also block off, I've just realized. So yeah, that should be everything just about done with this area functionally. I think I've said that before, but that's just about everything in this area done functionally. Now, I'm just going to have a little bit of fun doing some custom terraforming and some nice aesthetic building in this area, I think. And that is exactly what we did. I went ahead and built a couple custom trees in there. I decorated a little bit with some more leaves, and I just overall tidied the whole place up, added a couple pathways, you know. It really turned out well, and I think that I am very happy with how this thing turned out. So let's take a look. First of all, we've got a couple trees at the front here, and then if we come around here, we can have the nice little connecting path that goes down here, and then opens up into where the super smelter and kelp farm is. We can then come around here and we have these two custom trees over here with this nice little pathway over to the crafting table where the autocrafter is. Really, really nice. And then if we turn around here, we've got another few custom trees going all the way along there. I am personally very happy with how this build has turned out. Yeah, from the kelp farm that I wasn't really 100% on, I think the rest of the build has turned out really, really nice, and I'm really happy with these custom trees and everything like that. And the custom trees are interesting because they're actually not very random at all, they're very calculated, and they're all literally identical. They look like this, and I'm really happy with how they turned out, honestly. I had to test the design in a creative world before I actually built them on here, but I really like how nice and trimmed they look, and I feel like they really complement the whole build of this area. And if they were a little bit more random, I feel like they just wouldn't look as good. So I'm really happy with how those things turned out. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is project complete. Woohoo! This was probably one of my favorite things to work on this world. It was just so much fun constructing this place and just turning this little section of land here that used to previously be very boring and just making it alive and making it into something that was really worthwhile building, I think. And so I think that's something I want to do a little bit more going into the future as well. I want to kind of apply that principle of, you know, polishing things up and getting a mini project complete into other areas of the world, like the spawn town here, which will be a little bit bigger than that, and of course TNT town especially. Which TNT town will have a few more farms, but it's not going to be the biggest thing in the world. I think it'll probably be around the same size as the starter base, which you can see just appearing into view now, where it has, you know, all this kind of stuff going on around here. I think slowly but surely I really want to just do that to this whole area around here. Just divide it up into small plots, like this little section up here I could probably do something with, and then just build stuff there. So yeah, anyway, that tangent aside, I think I'm going to go ahead and end off today's episode because I am completely done with this project. Yeah, don't forget, nearly forgot, I nearly forgot. Alright, so today's comment of the episode is going to have to overlap with the previous episode a little bit because the best comment was by the same person, Casper, once again. So here it reads, Poggers, I got comment of the episode, feel honoured that you randomly chose me. Kelp farm is looking good, placing the water sources must have taken ages, lol. It did take a little while, I complained about it a little bit in the episode, probably a little bit more than I should have, but yeah, honestly it wasn't too bad. I probably could have used kelp in hindsight, just like actually use kelp to build up the water source and create infinite water sources. I feel like that would have worked a lot better, but oh well. Anyway, that was the comment of the episode. Thank you to Casper for actually writing that comment, and yeah, that was a legit pick this time. That wasn't just random, it was a legit pick. Oh, look, you're in the kelp farm. POV, you are kelp farm. Anyway guys, I thought it would be fitting to end it in here. I am really loving this area, I'm going to be honest. I am a very big fan of this place. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end off today's episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I've been trying to improve my recording style a little bit over time, and hopefully I can get the episode quality to, I guess, improve a little bit. So yeah, anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing if you enjoyed it that much. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.